In this episode of the Choose Hard podcast, I have Tailored Coaching Method's Director of Coaching, Arielle DeYampert, in the studio with me to talk shop. She was here on a work retreat. We had the whole staff come to the Tailored Coaching headquarters, and she asked me the hard questions that nobody else is really willing to ask, and many entrepreneurs aren't willing to publicly answer. But I think it's very vital for anybody who is chasing their dream, building a business, running a staff, is managing a team, or anything around leadership and entrepreneurship and business. I think it's really important for them to hear this because this is going to shed light on the good, the bad, and the ugly. And although you might hear a lot of pain in my voice for some of the answers you are going to listen to, you are also going to learn why purpose in your life might not be possible without experiencing some pain. Because through that pain is a path that does lead to your purpose and success for what you're chasing. I really enjoyed this conversation. And as always, Arielle DeYampert, she brings amazing questions and amazing conversation and just an amazing human being to have a conversation with. Some of the episodes I've done with her in the past have been the most downloaded and most popular episodes on this podcast, which says a lot. So I think you're going to enjoy this one with the one and only Arielle DeYampert.
The greatest things in life all start with a challenge.
You must accept that everything is hard before it gets easy.
Everything you want in life begins with a hard path.
Arielle is back on the podcast, which, you know what I thought about yesterday? I was like, if there was anybody who could make me cry on a podcast, it'd be you. I know we just got done talking about how like it's probably impossible to make me or Dennis cry. It takes a lot.
Yeah. Well, now it's a mission. Now,
but I was like, but at the same time, if you were able to, you'd be crying at the same time.
I would be a mess. Are you kidding? I was like thinking about it. I was like, I wonder if I won't cry on this podcast. I think I've cried on all of them.
And you're pregnant now?
Don't.
Super pregnant. So that was, is it weird to say you're super pregnant?
No, I mean, I don't think it's weird. I don't take offense. A lot of people, I was thinking about this. So many people say to me, it's like, oh, how far along you are. Like they just say I'm pregnant. And I was like, I thought it was impolite to ask a woman if she's pregnant. And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I got asked as much with Gabby, but I had Gabby during COVID.
Oh, yeah.
So I wasn't out in public as much, but it's like really obvious.
Yeah.
It's like clearly I'm pregnant, like just because the rest of my body is relatively
If you
similar.
have to second guess the thought in your head, like, I think don't ask.
Don't ask, yeah.
But if it's like, okay.
So clearly no one's second guessing. I'm going to take it as that.
Yeah, clearly you're pregnant. And so, but I've caught myself saying you're super pregnant to a couple people before that I know. Like, it's not like random people like, hey, you over there, you're super pregnant.
The grocery store, Costco, super pregnant lady.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I've said that a couple times and I've thought about it afterwards. I'm like, is that appropriate to say you're super pregnant? Because in their mind, they're like, duh, I feel it.
Yeah.
I know.
When people ask me, they're like, how do you feel? I was like, I feel pregnant.
Yeah.
Accurate.
Really pregnant.
Yeah.
But, okay. So today we're going to literally, let's say, figuratively speaking, pull questions out of a hat kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of them are around like life and entrepreneurship, I would say.
Yeah.
Achievement, balance, stuff like that. Topics that I think are very hard to just give a black and white answer on based on like we were driving to the studio from the hotel and you kind of just like spit them out to me real quick. So based on what I heard, it's like these are questions you can't really answer black and white. I think that they're questions that a lot of people really value the answers to and really value like raw opinions around. So we'll try to just keep this very transparent and just be honest about it because I don't think enough people share their failures, share their like the hard lessons in life. They don't share enough of like the emotions behind stuff, while also understanding, like we talked about earlier, not giving in too much to the emotions because at the end of the day, your emotions aren't going to help you achieve results or success. So I'm excited about these. I think there's going to be really good. And you and I always have these super deep, good conversations that just like that would be the downside if you worked here permanently, like in the HQ, if you didn't live in by Chicago, we'd be like it's like the water cooler conversations,
Yeah, like how much are we actually working at?
Yeah, they would be like stoic conversations throughout the day that just all of a sudden you're like, wow, I got to get back to work, Yeah. But let's just dive into it. You can just fire away the first one and we'll just see how many of these we can get done in the next hour or so.
It's like these card games are super popular and I picked some cards out of like self-reflection packs. And like you said, I think people really appreciate it because we'll start with this one.
And real quick, send me after this some of your favorite, like a 3 of your favorite card games.
Yes. Okay.
Because then I can put them in the show notes for people listening. They can go to Amazon, like buy some of them. Because I think this is a really useful tool in obviously like marriage and family. It's a useful tool. And like icebreakers, you always bring them to the team retreats. You use them for your coaching updates. Like they're great. Yeah.
And they have different iterations. Like they're one of the companies that's called and it has like these, like those squiggly parenthesis lines by it. They have a long-term relationship pack. And so that's some really good questions, but we'll start off with this one. Do you think it's possible to be fully present and still deeply driven? And how do you personally navigate the tension between the two?
You know what's crazy about this question is I literally was just listening to a podcast, Nick Bear's podcast, and he was interviewing a pastor, and he asked the pastor this because the pastor is no longer a pastor. He is now an entrepreneur. He still gives sermons sometimes apparently, but like he asked this exact question. I was literally mowing the lawn yesterday. We talked before we left. He was talking about this exact thing. And I think that because his example was good too, just to paint a picture of like being able to, his idea was the type of people that are high achievers and succeed a lot, they struggle to be present, slow down, not worry about things. So like you're at your daughter or son's birthday and you just need to be in the moment, chill, but you got work on the back of your mind. You have these things, this to-do list, and you got an idea on the way there that you didn't write down. So it's in the back of your mind, which is why I constantly keep like journals and my notepad on my phone ready because I jot down stuff all the time. But that's harder for those people. And then there's the people that we kind of envy because I'm one of those people who can just chill and relax and they don't seem like they have those worries. But those people also aren't high achievers. It's like usually they're that way in all areas of your life. So I do think that it is one of the most difficult things to accomplish. But I think that there is a way to compartmentalize it. Yeah. And that's the hard part. So your question specifically, because it was a little bit different than theirs. Say it again one more time.
Let me see here. It said, do you think it's possible to be fully present and still deeply driven? And how do you personally navigate the tension between the two?
So I believe that discipline is the only way to navigate through this because you have to compartmentalize and separate them. Yeah. And I don't mean discipline like just grind your teeth and get through it, but this is the same thing with productivity. People ask about this all the time. Like, what are your productivity hacks? And I'm like, my phone's on Do Not Disturb. Yeah. I put it away. I close out all other windows. I don't have 17 tabs open because whether you think you're not looking at them or not, you're looking at them, you know? Yeah. It's literally just the discipline to not check your email, not check your phone, like set rules and boundaries for yourself. And I think you can accomplish it. But you have to be able to set boundaries and then determine and define why those matter to you and what the outcome is. Because if your goal is, I want to be more present, I want to be more balanced. Okay, well, how do you, at the end of the practice or thing you implement, say, I'm more balanced or I'm more present? Because it comes and goes. It's never perfect. And it's a very relative goal. It's not a subjective thing you can, or objective that you can check off, you know? Yeah. So for me, it's like, okay, set a rule for myself. I don't check email until noon because my time blocks are interaction period from noon to 4 p.m. So I literally don't check email. And this has happened multiple times. I get on a meeting with you or Bailey right at noon, and you're like, I sent you an email about XYZ. I'm like, I didn't see it yet. Why? Because it's Monday and I haven't checked my email. Because as much as I want to see if there's any fires to put out or if anybody needs my help or anything, I'm going to get sucked into whatever's there. So I have to remove it, you know? And I think it's the same way in life. It's like, so there's been times where we're laying in bed and my mom or dad would call my phone and Shannon would look at me like, you gonna get that? Nope. Why not? It's like, well, if God forbid it's emergency, they'll call again. But I'm laying in bed with you. My rule, I'm not going to answer my phone to anybody after 8 p.m. Yeah. Like it goes down at about 8 and now it's just me and you. Like I have to hold that, you know? Especially if I were to expect that of her, like I can't.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that like this tension between the two, which is something, I don't know, I believe everything's a skill that we can learn. It's something I've focused so much on. And I don't know if it's being a mom that like I am more of like Gabby's primary caretaker where I'm just like, I need to be present for her, especially like having a daughter, like knowing how much she looks up to me. Like I don't want to be on my phone all the time, every time I'm in front of her. Yet I would say I'm like very driven and I want to do these things. And so I think it's a combination of what you said with the discipline, the boundaries, and the values. And I heard this saying, and it really stuck with me. The amount that you can relax and or disconnect is directly correlated to your ability to be disciplined during the work hours. And so like, you know, like I start my day really early and it's like 5 o'clock and like I'm up there, like I'm doing check-ins, I'm working on whatever it is we need to for the business, TCM, podcasting, like I am there. And when I'm in my office, I am locked in. Like, don't come in, don't come talk to me. My cell phone's not in there. And my sister joked, she's like, I feel like trying to get a hold of you is like getting a hold of the president sometimes. Like, because I just won't answer. And I'm very locked in because in the back of my mind, this is directly correlated to how much I get to be present with Gabby. And so when I'm radically invested in my work and I'm there, then when I'm with her, I can be present with her. And I also think a big part of this is we all have this never-ending to-do list, but like the skill of being able to prioritize. You have to know out of this list of 30 things, what are today 5? What are the 5 today?
Yeah.
Because it does not matter if you list down 8 things and then every day you're getting done around 5. What are you going to do? You're going to go home and think about the 3 you didn't do. Yeah. And I think it's such a skill to be like, no, I'm just going to do these 5 because it doesn't matter how quote unquote present I want to be, how much I value my daughter. If I had 8 things and I am someone who is driven and did not get all 8 done, then I'm going to be thinking about how can I get to, oh, she's asleep. Let me get this email in. No, I'm going to do that. And so I think there's a discipline and a skill to be able to prioritize. And then knowing that when I show up in this space, then I can show up in the next. And I think when it comes to that discipline, it's understanding, is my lack of discipline due to poor planning skills, poor prioritizing skills, not being able to stay focused, getting distracted, getting pulled in other directions. I think nailing that part of it is what allows the duality to exist.
You can't be present later on if you're not disciplined now, and you have to connect those two. So I think it's because it's the same way with me. Like I wake up, I get stuff done, and I'm very hyper-focused during the day because I want to be able to get off at a certain time. I want to be present when I get home, and I know that I won't be. But I find that people don't connect those dots enough. Even like not last night, but the night before, I was putting Blakey down. And so the night before, she said, Dad, can you put me down tomorrow for sleep? And I said, yes, because she's really into like me telling her stories right now. Yeah. And she wants to know stories of the Bible. It's really funny. So like I'll tell her like different stories. And then I ran out of ones I've like memorized. And I was like, oh, shit, I need to read more and figure them out. But I knew that. So I actually worked on the treadmill a little bit more. Like I got my steps in, because usually what I do is at night, if Shannon put her down, I'll go on a walk, get my steps in, finish up. Yeah. And so I'll get my steps in throughout the day because I know at the end of the day, I'll do it at night. Yeah. But as soon as I made a promise, you know, and I get excited for putting her to sleep, like, because she's starting to get into that, like, dad kind of season, you know, where she really wants to be around more,
cool
which
now?
I love. I'm cool now. It's so great. And so I literally am way more disciplined about it during the day, knowing there's an outcome at the end of the day that is important to me. But if you don't, like, understand those two things, you're never going to, even like we were talking about the dessert thing, right? Like the point of not eating desserts for X amount of days wasn't that you weren't going to eat desserts for those amount of days, period. It's those amount of days in a row that is difficult. And that's why it's like the consistency streak. So if you set a goal and you don't understand why that goal is important to you, what the traits you're going to develop along the way are going to mean to you and how they're going to apply in your life, you're never going to be disciplined along the way. So you have to, I don't know, I think that everybody could just benefit. Like the idea of discipline just to be disciplined doesn't work for most people. Unless you're Jocko, which is great. I love Jocko, but he was a Navy SEAL. It's like, this is my life. So I'm not going to die. I'm going to be disciplined and focused versus if I'm this way, who will I become? What will I be to other people? Like you've mentioned being in front of Gabby, right? Like what does me being present in front of Gabby mean? What is she going to think years from now? How is she going to look back? You know, like, and if you forward think like that, like,
that increases motivation because like when motivation is present, discipline is not required. Discipline is not always required. And so if you have a high, like discipline is when we have, I'm using my hands to talk about it, but like your motivation is one level and then you have a set plan, right? Discipline is fills the gap between motivation and your plan. I'm motivated, cool. I'm following through on the plan. I'm exceeding the plan. If your motivation is low and your plan is higher, discipline needs to fill that. And I think that the more, again, you have like that why, the higher your motivation is, the less discipline you just need in life. And when we're looking at discipline, I really think of discipline as systems, structures, and routines. And I think this is where it did help coming from like a teacher background where my job was to manage 28 7-year-olds and make sure that, like, it's funny. I always joke with other teacher clients I have now, and I'm like, oh, your special starts at 12:32. Like, that's when like lunch starts at 8:37. And it's like these weird times, but like you had to make sure that you had this, okay, kids are lined up. Okay, this is how we do this. This is how we walk to the, I even like remember getting on my hands and knees and like duct taping arrows because I wanted traffic in my classroom to flow a certain way. When you're managing 30 little humans in a small room, you have to think about the structure. And so like my Google Calendar, my meetings, the way that I'm at certain places, like when Blakely said, Dad, put me to bed, she forced a structure into your life that was there. And so it's like, okay, now I'm going to stand up and meet
that's
that
why
expectation.
Commitments and responsibility is good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dive into this too much because they can listen to the podcast because it'll be out by now. I did the science of self-discipline, and I covered a couple studies. One study was showing that when individuals had a plan, it actually required less discipline. So it talked about automating discipline. Yeah. Really what it is like you require less when you have a structured plan. Structured plan gives you belief, which is usually motivating because you're like, I know this is going to work. I don't need to be as disciplined. And then the other thing was they used a specific if-then structure. So if blank, then blank. And it's like, if I put Blakely to bed, then I will walk in the morning. It's a commitment that I can make, and it guarantees success that requires less discipline. And they studied it was like 8,000 participants. It was a crazy huge study. It was really cool, but it's wild. I think people, even myself, I get in this, and this is why accountability is so good. Like when I have a coach in my life and it's like just asking questions that forces you to realize you don't have a articulate plan that you can execute.
Yeah.
Oh, no wonder I'm not checking these boxes. It's like,
I think that's a huge thing. Coaching, setting up with a plan, coaching in itself, it's a structure and accountability. You have a certain check-in day when you're taking photos, all of these things. And I know we spent maybe a little bit longer on this question, I know, but I think this is so on the forefront of a lot of people who listen. Like their mind, like the people who listen are driven. They want to achieve goals. They're hard workers. They're choosing hard. And that tension between valuing my family, being present, enjoying the wins, being satisfied, while also not wanting to lose the fire inside of me and the drive and like equally loving that part of me. Because I think sometimes, and I've had seasons of this where I'm like, why am I like this? Like, why am I so driven? Like, calm down, DeYampert. And it's like, no, I love that part of me. I just have to use it in the correct way. And so like, I hope us both sharing examples like gives people an outline of like, no, you can have your balance. We want to call it harmony, whatever, alignment. I think it's alignment because when we are uncongruent, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to say one thing and do another. It doesn't feel good to say I want to spend time with my family, but grind super late and never put your daughter to bed. You want to do both. The people who are listening want the and. And I think this question, at least starting the conversation around the tension between it is important. So
real quick, and then we'll move in the next one. This is not backed by science, but for me, like just thinking about the question and going back to like, okay, personally, what do I really do to do this? I try to gamify it a bit. So I like talk in my head a little bit of like, well, can I be a high achiever? Can I achieve this much today and still go home and be present? And it's like this, it's kind of like, would you rather be successful or in control? And I think it switches for me because there's sometimes where the control for me is like my brain's trying to get me to be unfocused on my family and focused on business stuff. And if I can logically say that does not matter right now, I like want to be in control, which is also being successful, I guess, in that department. But just the idea of gamifying of like, I'm going to be able to check these boxes and still, make it in the business stuff. And then I think what you were saying too is it's a internal level of integrity. And that's why it's important for people to commit to. They did actually a sales study that showed individuals, if you ask an individual, is there anything that will conflict with this on your calendar when they confirm a call time, they were significantly more likely to show up for the call than if they didn't. And it's because they said there's nothing that will conflict with this. And so it's this internal integrity with themselves of I committed to this and I'm acknowledging that. And now I don't want to be a liar because I'll see myself as a liar. Yeah. Which is pretty cool. But that again, it's just committing to things like personally and publicly or verbally, it does so much more than people realize. Just that extra confirmation. Yeah. But
it's a huge piece and probably why we will always have coaches and invest in that. And like both, it's not only like practicing what you preach, but it's like, I believe in it so much. Like my life is exponentially better because of that.
Yeah.
The next one, this is a good one. What's something you're proud of that no one else sees?
This is probably the hardest one. I think out of all those ones you asked, like you ran through them this morning, and I don't remember each one at this point because that was hours ago, but
Yeah.
that was the one that I was like,
That's why I asked it.
I know. I'm like, I don't know. In general, I think I'm proud of myself at times for just not quitting. Like, I think that endurance is the most difficult part about success with anything. The ability to endure suffering in some way. It's not like I'm, being beat, but like you get the point, figuratively speaking. My ability to endure like that aspect of just never quitting and truly believing that I won't. Like, I don't think I would do it to the harm of myself or others, obviously, but I think there's a level of success that literally requires just not giving up. Because, like, we've been through hard stuff, and whenever I talk to business owners who are way more seasoned than me, they, like, chuckle. They're like, oh, you're at that stage. And then you realize, like, oh, fuck, okay, so success is, a lot of success is just being the type of person that doesn't back down when things get hard, And I also think, like, part of that is in everything in life. And so, like, I think one thing that I do really well that I'm proud of myself with, this is definitely something nobody sees, is I think everybody has an ego, but I truly feel like I'm in control of my ego. Like, I genuinely know who I am, what's important to me, where my values are at. And although I'll admit, I don't like the idea of people not liking me. I want everybody to like me.
Yeah.
But I would never sacrifice that at the expense of people liking me. And there's times in my life where I would, like, changing to make sure people are happy with me and like me and accepting of me.
Yeah.
And I don't care about that as much. And I'm proud of myself for that, especially just given where I live in this state and, like, how things can get crazy here. Yeah. And just, like, very extremist on certain ends.
Yeah.
A lot of people just fall in line, and, like, I haven't, and I feel good about that. But that's also even, like, in my marriage and stuff, like, not having an ego at all of, like, I don't care about apologizing if I am wrong or if I'm not wrong. And I just know that it's the right thing to do to work towards what we all want most, And, I don't know.
Do you think you're proud of yourself because you weren't always that way?
Probably, yeah. I mean, when I was young, I definitely had an ego, and I was a feisty one. But I also, like, I've always been stubborn. So I think that, like, there's a part of me that just has never quit because of that.
Yeah.
But I think there's times in the past where I would disguise quitting with shifting my path, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not quitting. This is just a better. No, it's not. It's just like that got hard, and so you went.
How do you know that? Like, I guess, how do you distinguish between this is hard? Because I would agree, like, you are very resilient. I was like, it's so funny. Your answer is like, I'm proud of myself for choosing hard, like staying resilient and doing that. And I think it is
choosing hard was for me at first. It was like, that is my thing, because I was like, I need to remind myself, and then I used it to remind clients, and then we all started doing that, and then I was like, okay, I'm not the only one that needs that reminder.
And I think it's so helpful, and people, like, listening, I think this is another big tension point where it's like, how do they know if they're, like, choosing hard or continuing to push on, or it's like, no, this is like a bunch of red flags, like, you shouldn't.
Yeah. I think that this is where, I mean, the obvious answer is if it's going to hurt you or your family, like, don't, push yourself too far to where it's, like, affecting the closest people to you or your life or whatever. But I think that's an obvious one. I think, to me, looking back, I think most of it is, the most helpful thing for me is coaching other people, because I do mentor other people who are, a few years behind me, let's say, or they're where I was in a different industry or a different area of life. Yeah. And I'm able to be that external voice for them, saying, you got to push through. Like, this is a hard time, but this is going to make you this person. And when you are able to do that for others, it allows you to sit back to yourself and then do the same a little bit easier, because you can go, okay, remove my emotions. If I was coaching one of my clients on this exact scenario, what would I say? What would I do? And the accountability or the responsibility to be that type of coach as well, like, that gives me the accountability to be like, I need to do this because I am setting an example and a standard for the people I work with the people who work for me. My daughter, she's going to hear about this and see it. Like, I think about this all the time. In 10 years, is she going to listen to this podcast?
Yeah.
She might like have a completely different understanding of what I did when she was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because she listens to it when she's 17, you know, which is crazy to think about. But it's like, okay, what am I doing right now that future Blakely would be able to listen to, and it would help her when she's moving into adulthood?
Yeah.
You know,
that's a great perspective. Do you think that people, okay, so like entrepreneurs, other people listening, whatever, do you think that they don't take a second to acknowledge how they should be proud of themselves enough? Like, do you think that's something that maybe you would like to do more of, or do you feel good about it? Because I also feel like this is a battle that people go through is, I'm scared if I stop and clap for myself, I'll stop. It'll be like, I'll slow down.
Yeah.
I say that I'm too proud of myself. And so I know there's a tension there, but like, I think if I were to ask that question to anyone, like, what are you proud of yourself for? Remember when I did that last year when I asked everyone, like, what are you proud of yourself for? It takes people a minute of being like, I don't know. But if I were to ask you, which one of the other questions is, what do you fail at? You're like, I got 87 answers.
Yeah.
And so I think, I don't know, do you think it's something that people should be intentional and do more of? Or they don't do enough, or what?
I do, but I think they need to be intentional about how they do it, because I think that, like, if we look at even just like the science of dopamine and we realize what, truthfully, like, just to put it in simple terms, like, what actually creates fulfillment for people, it's the process, it's not the outcome. Yeah. And we all know that, you know, cheesy saying, but it's really true. And so if you are getting dopamine hits during the journey and you're fulfilled and happy and everything is going great, and then you celebrate and you get probably one big dump of dopamine and then it drops off and you don't have the next journey started yet or planned, you're going to be in a lull. And sometimes people can get stuck in that lull for too long. You know, this actually, I've experienced this with like events where I'll host an event here and there's a crowd of people in front of me. It's in my facility. And like, part of it is I'm human. I get praise at that too. Like, people are saying like, this place is so sick. And like, dude, this is so cool. I'm so excited to be here. And you like, it's kind of like a shock at first, because you're like, well, I'm just like a dude. This is like my daily life. This is so weird. And then you're speaking for 2 days straight and people are soaking it up and they're learning how to be better. And it's so fulfilling. And then boom, it's done. And you come into the office and it's empty again. And you're just like, back to normal. And it's this like drop off. And I've legitimately felt depressed. Yeah. It's actually helpful that I understand what's going on in my brain, that I can go, okay, I know what this is. But for me, this is why I like the idea of like setting 90-day outcomes, because I know what like my ultimate goal in life is. But then I can set 90-day goals for the quarter. And as I'm finishing my quarterly outcomes, I'm already setting the next ones, because it just goes right into the next goal. So I can celebrate my wins in each area of my life while also continuing this fulfillment journey, because I'd never stop working. But in my past, when I've set goals, achieved them, and then I didn't have the next 90, I'm like, I'll take a break this quarter. It does not help. It does not work, you know?
Something really to point out for everyone to like hear, just acknowledge in this, is that even when you were saying what you were proud of, everything that you were proud of is process and character oriented and developed. You're like, I'm proud of my endurance. I'm proud of my resilience. I'm proud of how I'm showing up. You weren't like, I'm proud that I built this company. I'm proud that I make X amount of dollars. I'm proud that I have this. It wasn't anything that was actually outcome based. You're like, I'm proud that I can take my ego in the midst of a challenging situation and kind of say like, okay, what's actually my desire here? What's my alignment? What's my values? What do I want? I think that's huge for keeping people going, is like celebrating the process, but it also speaks a lot about like your character and why you are where you are. Because when we're asked like, what are you proud of? It's not like, oh, we have this really cool podcast studio with all these fancy cameras and lights to like record. It was like, no, that I've like continued to grow as a human. So I think that one's like really cool.
I've learned a lot about like studying self-respect, honestly, as we started laying out the self-formation process. Yeah. And just a simple thought of, what do I respect in others? Like the reasons I admire others never has a car emblem or a dollar sign on it. I love cars. Like, I'm jealous of Andy Frisella's car collection, but more than anything, I'm jealous because, like, here's the thing. If I had that much money, that's not what I would do with it. Yeah. I'm jealous because he's so obsessed with cars, and he has like the fantasy of a little boy who's obsessed with Hot Wheels. Yeah. In his yard. Like, it has like risers for different muscle cars and stuff. It's so cool. But it's also like, talk about like growing up and literally like having your, cause like, you know, those, you'll know this soon, the boy, but they have like these like things that you open up and it's all these Hot Wheels and they're like, and you hit the button and the gates open, they come down these slides. I used to have them when I was a kid and it's like a garage full of Hot Wheels and he has that. Like, I'm not jealous that those cars probably cost a few million, I assume altogether, you know, I'm jealous that like he literally fulfilled such a cool dream of his. Yeah. You know,
he gets to experience that like happiness and joy. And I think that's important. It's like, it's going to look different where like maybe you take Blakely to Disney or something and that level of joy you see from her living her best life. Like Dennis and I talk about it because sometimes Gabby will just like, it's like the end of the night and I can tell she's tired and I'm like, she has the best life. Like she just got to like have so much fun, hung out with her friends. We went to the lake and she's like,
so fulfilling.
Just like, and I think that level of fulfillment and it can be different. And it's like, you know, he's doing it with his cars and I think it's really cool. I think this kind of goes into one of the other questions. What's something you used to chase that no longer holds value and like what's shifted? Maybe what caused it? I mean, there could be a couple of different ways to segue that, but like, is there something you used to chase that no longer is important to you?
Let's move the mic up a little bit closer. I just want to make sure that my voice isn't overpowering. That's tough. I mean, like the easy answer is money. Yeah, sometimes though that mic is heavy. I don't know if it's
got it.
Yeah,
I think I'll move closer.
There you go. Obvious answer is money, and this is where I think too, like even me knowing what I'm most proud of, I think you have to chase. You know, pride is an interesting word. Yeah. Because having pride for something is great. Being prideful about something is terrible. You know, like the Bible talks about all the time. It frowns upon prideful people. Yeah. Like, do not be prideful, you know? And then it's like, well, you should have pride for your, and it's like, what does this mean? And I think being proud, it's about what you're proud of ultimately. And I think that's where it's like the internal aspect. But being prideful means that you are probably chasing the wrong things. You're boasting. And I think that you have to chase those things, realize that that's not filling you and you're not proud of yourself for it like you thought you would be. Or you know, like you get there and you're like, what you actually reflect on, like, man, remember this? And it's like when you were grinding and you didn't have, you know. So I think that it's kind of the same way with what I, the question is what I chased. Yeah.
What do you chase that no longer? And I agree that I think I think there's certain things like that that are the unteachable lessons. And I'll tell this to clients too, where like, you know, they're going and I'm like, this is an unteachable, because they'll say, clients will say like, I don't know, do you think I could weigh this much? Do you think I would weigh this much? Do you think I would like it? I mean, I kind of want abs, but I don't really know. And I'm like, it's an unteachable lesson. You have to get there. Yeah. And I was like, let's get there. Because then when you get there, there's a vast difference between questioning if it's possible for you and electively deciding it's something you no longer want. Yeah. Because you know you could have the money, the cars or whatever it is, but it's like, I don't value it as much because I started going down that road or I experienced having it and the fulfillment wasn't there. Yeah. And so it's one of those experiential things, I think.
Yeah. And I think that's it. Like I've chased money and it was empty. I think that I like nice things and I'm totally fine admitting that, but it's random things, you know, it's not, I don't know, like the setup, this matters so much to me. Like me and Shannon will talk about like what we like, you know, dream about what we want. And it's always like the podcast studio getting doper and better. And like, you know, like I care about that stuff.
This is a good question that kind of goes, you won, it's something like if you won the lottery, but didn't tell anyone, how would they know? Like, what would you spend money on that like people like, what? He's just like spending money on this. Like I would have an in-home masseuse. I would have someone who like would just massage me all the time. Yeah. I mean, a couple of other things, but that's a way to think.
I'd have a really sick podcast studio for sure. Yeah. If you lived around here, you'd see a bunch of billboards for the podcast. Billboards don't work nearly as well as they used to, from what I've heard, marketing wise. But I would just have like choose hard billboards everywhere. Honestly, what I would like, literally, what I would do is, I would get on the board of some of the cities around here. I would put massive American flags on some of the main roads because when they're blowing in the wind, they just look beautiful. And you only see them when you're driving over the mountains and stuff because those freeways are so big. There's one in downtown Tacoma off the freeway, but there's like a couple roundabouts that have this perfect like mound. I was like, that would be perfect. Yes. So I would put those out. I would put choose hard billboards everywhere, more so as like reminders, not like for the podcast. Maybe I have a QR code for the podcast, but it would be like, don't forget, choose hard. Like I want to make like tokens or something that we can give people. So it's like a little thing on your keychain that you see or something, like a money clip. So every time you do it, you see the choose hard, and it's like, maybe I won't spend the money or whatever. But
a plate, a utensil set.
I would literally spend a lot of money on getting the reminder of choose hard out there. I think that would be so impactful to so many people. But yeah, and I think that like ultimately what I used to chase was more of, I would say, clout in the industry and success. And the more of both of those things I achieved, like success monetarily, like money, the more of those things I got, the more I was like, I don't really love social media. I don't really love being in big crowds or around people. Like, I really like to keep my circle tight and small and trustworthy. And like the people in the industry who I'm seeking approval from, nobody in my near close life even knows who they are. Because if they're not in the industry, they're like, who's that? Like, why does that matter? And you're like, oh, wait, I'm in my small bubble. And so like I've learned that those things just don't really fill that like missing part. Like I always say, like, you know, fill the hole. People will say you have a God-sized hole in your heart. And I think that's kind of what I learned with chasing that and then finding more of my faith. And my faith opened me up to like what really matters and what I care about. And it's community. It's impacting people. And sometimes that has nothing to do with money whatsoever. You know, sometimes it's me helping somebody at the grocery store, or me paying for somebody's Starbucks, or picking up some garbage for somebody, like literally the simplest tasks, you know. I sent like some care packages to a bunch of like law enforcement officers with like a choose hard shirt, choose hard hat, like a note just saying like basically like, you're the definition of choosing hard. Thanks for keeping us safe. Like the text messages I got back from some of those guys that are not emotional people whatsoever. They're like the kind of people I'm like, bro, you need to lighten up. Like, loosen up. Like, I was like, whoa, this like really meant a lot. And I mean, it cost money. I had to pay for shipping and stuff, but like that made such an impact. Like that stuff's so much better. Nobody ever, I don't know. Nobody's like, I mean, here's a good example. I had a different car every year. Every year I would get a new car for like 6 or 7 years straight. Me and my neighbor were talking about this. He's like, I've had this Kia. He makes great money. He's like, I've had this Kia for 13 years now. Trying to convince my wife to get rid of her Nissan. She's had that for 17. I was like, what? He was like, yeah. What's the longest you've had a car? I was like, man, I don't want to answer that question. Every year after high school, once I started buying my own vehicles, I would get a new car every year. I would get a car, soup it up. After a year of driving it, I would sell it, get a new one. And then it wasn't until my truck that I was like, I'm up high. These seats are comfy. Like, it's got good system, speakers. Like, I love listening to music when I'm driving. This is perfect.
Yeah. I think that gratitude and sitting in that moment and experiencing it and then like, what is it? I think there's a point where people start to question, like, what is it that I'm looking for on the other side of this dollar bill, this new car, this 6-pack? What is it that I'm hoping? Is there a way that I can have it right now with where I'm at? And that brings a lot of that like peace, almost circling back to that initial question that we had. Okay, here's another one. Can you think of a time in your life when you felt like you failed? And how did that experience shape the kind of leader you are today?
Yeah, this one is hard because I've failed so many times.
Do you see it as a failure? Do you look back and think like I failed?
I think that's what allows me to fail over and over again.
Yeah.
Is that I don't see them as failures. I'm very much so like, shit, okay. Let's not do that again. Keep moving. And I think if you can remove, and this is what helps too, is like, if you remove what other people think about you and realize like the people who, because there are certain people you should care what they think about you, because what they think of you and who you are is a direct reflection of the person you show up as. And I think that's important to understand. But those people don't judge you. The people who like matter, like their opinions of me matter because they know me enough that if they think this of me, it's because I'm really that way. And if it's not how I want to be, then I need to change. But anybody else, it doesn't matter. So those people who actually matter, they're never going to judge you for failing. They're going to like encourage you to keep going. And when you really understand that and you realize like it really doesn't matter, like, you know, there's that one quote I shared on my story not too long ago. If it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes on it.
Yeah.
I see that as a lot with failures because the only thing that's really matters inside of the failure is how I'm going to do it next time better. You know? And so it won't matter in 5 years outside of what I did differently, which is the next situation, not this current situation that I failed in. So it's actually hard for me to say which failure, because I can think of a few that like pop up in my head. And like I told you this, like total transparency, wrong hires. Like as a business owner, you're going to do that. So there's never a point where I was like, oh, I'm such an idiot, I fucked everything up. It's like, I'm just like, oh, you know what? I remember that sign. Like I should have probably paid closer attention to that. Like that was a sign that this probably isn't a good team for that person. Next time, I'm going to recognize that sign quicker, you know?
Yeah.
Also people. I've had certain people, you're one of them, in my life who have pointed out signs, and I've been like, nah, like not even just for the wrong team, but like just for situations in life in general. Like I remember multiple situations, actually, you've done this and my wife has done this more than anybody. And I would say for guys listening,
we do talk about it. We're like, we both told him it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, guys, you have terrible instincts. Like, I think that you have great instincts from a standpoint of you should, and if you don't, you need to train yourself to have good instincts of a protective nature and an ambitious nature. Like we're really good at taking risks and stuff like that. So sometimes risk assessment is actually not our forte, and that's actually a good thing because it allows us to succeed more. But have at least just 2 or 3 women in your life who know you well enough that can point things out for you that you are too gullible and ignorant to see, and you probably give everybody and everything the benefit of the doubt too much.
Yeah. I think there's like a woman's intuition, right? Which is different. And we've talked about that with like differences with males and females, and just like men being much more like logical. Like, I bring something to Dennis. He's like, okay, so do you want option A or option B? Do you want me to fix it here? Do you need me to, okay, so like, tell me exactly, like, I can tell you the steps.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's just something, I don't tell him like, something just is off, or like it's just like feeling. And he's like, so do you want to like, okay. Like, it's like, okay.
This isn't Spider-Man. Spidey senses, like. I
know. Or like sometimes this even causes disagreements where he was like, well, I wish you would have told me this sooner. And I was like, I didn't know. Like, it just kind of comes up. And I think women do, with our emotions being higher, that part of our brain being larger, there is this intuitive sense or knowing. And so I think that's part of it. I also think that with all entrepreneurs, and you specifically, when people be like, oh, it's cliche, but your biggest strength is your biggest weakness, or just something that can go both ways. Like we were talking about people that are listening to this podcast, right? Just like they probably have a more dopaminergically sensitive brain. You're probably listening, you're listening to a self-development podcast. You're listening to people talking about living above average lives, about doing all these things, accomplishing goals, being an entrepreneur. You want to set goals. You want to accomplish them. You are driven. You do set big, audacious things, and that's beautiful. And I think there's a part you need to love that side of you, because the only reason you're listening to as an entrepreneur, as someone who wants to do more, is because your brain is set up in that way and you've nurtured it. You have people around you, all the things we've talked about. The other side of that token is you also have to know when it's enough. And in all areas, and this is why we foundationally talk about self-control and self-discipline, because something that we've struggled with, where it's like, how do you know enough is enough? How do you know that it's not success anymore? Like, how do you chase the wrong things to understand that? You have a little bit extra wine, you take 2 seconds scissor. Like people, and I think that's really hard for people. Like I work with women and they're like, I'm really successful as a mom. I'm great at work. Why can't I follow this diet? And I'm like, it's understanding you have that drive stronger than Susie Q next to you, who is content doing nothing. Like she's just chill. She doesn't have the same urges to get more like you do. So just like you put in more work and effort on this side, it's just putting in more work and effort. And I think getting a coach, working with someone, whatever it is, it's not a weakness. It's you understanding who you are, having that wisdom, and then being like, oh, okay. I know myself and I know I need a boundary here. Well,
and again, those people need to put the necessity of their goal to the forefront of their mind, because I have a job and I'm a high performer. I am a mom and I'm great at doing it. Okay, those are literally, you have to do those things. Like you literally have to. You don't have to lose 20 pounds. But if you treat it like you have to, you'll make that shit happen, because you will make it a necessity. And you are a high performer when necessities are in front of you. You're just downplaying that because you have these other things.
Yeah.
Just make it a priority and connect the dots. You will perform better at work in less time each day, and you will be a better mom every day if you are in great shape and you're happy with your body. I guarantee, because you'll never have an ounce of resentment in the back of your head of, I don't have time to work on me because of my job or because of my kids, which whether any mom admits it or not, that will be in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Unspoken, absolutely. What is that word? Unspoken expectations are premeditated resentments. Yeah. So good, because there's so many things that like I expect to be able to do this, or like I expect you to give me more time, or whatever it is. It's like if you're not speaking that out or making it spoken out to yourself, like clearly articulating what you want and what you need, you can't expect it, you know, from others and from yourself, really.
Yeah. I think it's like, there's a caveat with this. I think we need to, you know how people will reframe and say, it's not that I have to, it's that I get to. I understand why you're doing this, but if you have this prerequisite skill, which is like we talked about, like prioritizing and like understanding bandwidth and time, and you are a high performer and achiever and you put a list, like I think the where this turns into something that's negative is people who are high performers and high achievers make a list of 20 things when you have time for 10. And then they feel this pressure. They're dysregulated. They're uneasy. They're anxious. They're overwhelmed. Like, I can't get all this done. You know what? I have to reframe it. It's not that I have to. It's that I get to. Because if not, they'll crash and burn. Okay, no. Learn the skill. Prioritize. Put 5 things on your list, and then you have to get them done. Yeah. For example, like, even if I'm just saying, like, we're recording videos for, like, some content, and I'm like, okay, I have 9 out of 14 done. I was like, I have to get 5 more done before I leave. Like, I have to get them done before I leave. I could say, like, oh, I get to. No, I have to do it. I have to figure out between now and Sunday when I'm going to get those done. But I also understand that it's possible for me to record 5 more videos.
One thing I learned about that too from one of my mentors who was a Navy SEAL is he teaches time frame orientation. And I realized how bad I was at this. It'll take me about this long to do. I'll be home at this time. Yeah. Never right. And it was like, okay, definitely you're terrible at time frame orientation. Part of it is not paying attention while you're doing the thing to see how much time it takes. Part of it is not auditing your time every once in a while, which I do every quarter, and I highly recommend everybody does. But also sometimes it's just not even attempting it. You just make a list and you start going because you're ambitious. And it's like, how about you make a list and then go, I will do this at this time. It's going to take me this long. If it takes me longer, I'm stopping right then and moving to the next thing. Or the next thing's not that important and I will continue working on it and scratch that off my list. But until you define that, you're going to get to the end of the day and not finish everything. You're going to feel like failure.
Yeah.
You know?
I think this is where it is really helpful to have someone guiding you when it comes to systems and structures. And, you know, like we've talked about this, where like I even put on my calendar, like, hey, I'm going to eat like for this like 15 minutes to make sure that I can get this in. And then I put certain anchors in my day that are like benchmarks, like that's a live meeting. So like when you and I meet, like I'm like, okay, I have from this. And then once I meet with Cody, I have to have all of this stuff done. And then it's like, I can't keep going because we're meeting live.
It's just like the responsibility of me putting Blakely down for bed at night.
Yeah.
It's something in my calendar that involves somebody else that I care about, or I have a responsibility for, and I'm not just showing up for myself. So it's like, I have to do these things before then. It creates ultimately it's accountability.
Yeah.
People fail. Like they try to avoid this so much, especially guys, honestly. Like I can speak especially to men. And we see that in the coaching industry. Every coaching company you talk to, they have more women that sign up for fitness coaching than men. And we've seen a big surge of more men doing it. And hopefully it's partially because I'm saying this so often of like, guys need coaches too. You like stop and ask for directions while you're driving. Don't be the dad that's like, I know how to get there. I'm not going to stop, you know, that
absolutely
old school, traditional, like stereotypical thing, but it's true, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Next question. What's the hardest part of business that doesn't get talked about, but should?
Gosh, it's hard to pick one, honestly. I think there's so many hard aspects. Okay. I can think of, like one I want to say is like the family aspect. I think that there's just there's a lot that ends up, especially emotionally, I would say, like that gets put on to Shannon, my wife, that doesn't get seen because it's like, and that kind of leads me to what I think is the hardest part in general. I think that it's, for the most part, and like you and I have, you know, developed a good relationship as you became director of coaching and we started having more meetings and stuff. So I think you get filled in on a bit more because you act as a support system that like kind of anchors between, or it's like a pillar between me and the team in a way.
Yeah.
But I think that for a long time, and still to an extent, because there's always a part of you that, and I think it's justifiable, shouldn't, or feels like you shouldn't expose your feelings or what you're thinking or what's fully going on at all times, you know? And I think part of that is good because going back to the whole failure thing, I think that if you are a successful entrepreneur, you have, whether it's a gift or a skill, you have an ability to see failures as lessons. You have an ability to have some equanimity where you can kind of stay calm no matter what's going on. And not everybody has that. So if you put everything out on the table, it can, you know, start a fire or start causing panic or anything like that when it's not necessary, you know?
Yeah.
Especially when it's not necessary, because some things might not even be a big deal, but you don't know how people are going to perceive it because they're not used to. You know, everybody handles stress differently, and the more stress you handle, the more capacity you have to handle that stress. So I think that one of the hard parts is that you do have like this mental and emotional baggage that does pile up because your outlets to, I don't even know what the word would be, express that, I guess, is very limited. You know, most of it does fall on the family, you know, and whether that's because things are going on, you're distracted, and so you're not there for them, which I feel like I've gotten so much better at over the last couple of years, just through experience of being an entrepreneur. But the other part is like, just like somebody who is on staff might not have the skill and the gift of handling the type of stress that's going on, even if it is not a huge deal. I see it as a lesson, or like, this is going to work out. It's not a big deal. This happened before. They don't know what's happened before. They don't know the lesson. They don't have the experience. Well, what makes my wife any different? Mm-hmm. But she's going to hear it anyway. Yeah. Because I got to talk to somebody. Yeah. You know? And so like, I know that's something that like me and Shannon have had to work through, because it's like, how was your day? And it's like, today was a day. And I like say all this stuff. And then for me, I'm like, oh, I felt good. And I know tomorrow I'm going to wake up, work my ass off, and everything's going to be fine. But she don't know that. So in the back of her mind, she could be like, holy shit. Yeah. Are we okay? Yeah. And like I remember a time, this is a while ago, where she literally was like, hey, like we never really finished that conversation. Like, is everything going to be fine? Like, do we need to change anything? I was like, what? No. What are you talking about? Why? She's like, all the stuff you talked about with the business stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, totally fine. Like I know exactly what I'm gonna do. Everything's good. Like started working on it right now. And I'm like totally fine now. And it's like, no big deal. Made a few sales. I'm good. I'm sorry. Like everything's fine. And she's like, what the fuck? Like, are you kidding? And I'm like, my bad. Like I didn't finish the conversation really. I was just kind of telling you how I felt in the moment. I wasn't actually, because I'm not breaking out a spreadsheet and showing you, here's the facts as to why this is actually totally fine. I'm just irritated. But here's like the trend. Here's what's good. Here's, you know what I mean? Like that stuff stays in the office. The emotions get brought home. And I think that's a part that people don't fully understand.
That's a really good one to say. Cause like, so basically that hardest part is like discerning what and who you can process certain emotions to, because your emotions have to be processed in some way, shape or form. And like, just maybe it's just to vent, to talk it out, to have it is. But when you are the entrepreneur, you make the money, you're the CEO, you do all of that. When you process that with people in your life, they're generally affected by it. Where she's like, wait, do we need to make a change? Yeah. Or we say to employees, like, am I fired? Yeah. Or like, are we going, what's happening? And it's like, no, I'm just processing it. And so the number of people that you can process to gets even smaller because someone else's ability to handle that.
That's why a lot of entrepreneurs get therapists. And it's also why it's really, really important for entrepreneurs to have coaches or mentors, because like there was a period of time where I didn't have any of that. And that was a really hard point too. I've been to therapy, but I haven't been in a long time, and I didn't have a coach, but it really I really sat back and thought about it at one point. It was like, I don't want to tell everything to my wife, because if I do, I need to be able to like sit with it for a little bit so I can say it in the right way. Yeah. So that she can understand what's like, and that means the good and the bad too. Like, cause I celebrate every win. I'm pumped about everything. So it's like, I can't like have these huge waves of emotions all the time. The people I talk to most work for me. Mm-hmm. So they rely on me. My wife relies on me to support her and provide for her as well. And there's nobody else. It's like, then like I literally don't. And then it's like, okay, I have some really close friends, you know, that I can call and talk to. But truthfully, there's only been one time I really, like maybe twice in my life. One had nothing to do with business either, that I've really like laid it all out for Cody Smith, because he's probably my closest friend. Because what ends up happening is like you get on a call or you hang out with them and you're like, I don't want to put this on their shoulders. He runs a business too. He's got a family. Like I don't want him to worry about me. And so you just end up keeping it, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's like, even though what he would say to me and what I would say to him too in that same situation. It's like, bro, like I'm here, like it's fine. We don't listen, you know? So it's like you almost have to have a forced support system, which would be a therapist or a mentor or coach. You know, like
we talked about that in the realm of coaching where like our clients will tell us these heavier things, right? And I always say like, they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean, I'm like, where else are you going to do this? I want you to like cry on word calling. I want you to process it with me. I want, like, that's exactly what I'm here for. And they like feel that same way where it's like, I don't know if I really want to tell my husband this and like bring it. And then he's gonna ask me follow-up questions or whatever it is. Like, I just would like a safe container to say this in, and like to different degrees, right? Like with coaching, that is it. And I think the nuance of like, you know, our coaches, therapists, whatever it is, well, like, coaches hold safe space for emotions, right? Like that is what we can do and give our perspective. You can't see I always like say, you can't see the label from inside the jar. So just giving someone a different perspective. But what if we looked at it like this? And that has brought so much relief to so many of my clients. And like, this is why, you know, so many of them were like celebrating 3, 4, 5 years together. It's because like, I need this space. I need this space where I can come every week and just, you know, type it out, say it out, whatever it is, and process and know that everything's going to be okay. Because sometimes, you know, they'll write like a paragraph or two on their check and it's like, that's what I needed.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for everyone to hear, like, you can't keep all of that inside.
Well, if you think about it too, it's when you're trying to like like if you're keeping it to yourself, a lot of times it just stays in this bubble of like frustration and anger.
Yeah.
And it's not until you start typing, journaling, writing. So if you're by yourself, you could at least journal it or speak it out. Because once you start talking through it, that's when you go, well, here's what happened, and I'm frustrated because of this, and I feel this way, but that could be interpreted by this person this way, and like these are just my feelings. They're not facts. Like they don't know. And there's so many times where like me and Shannon, the way we word things are different now. So like, like you made me feel this way is not an applicable statement because no, I didn't. You felt that way based on what I said. I didn't mean for you to feel that way. There's nothing to do with it. So, but if she says, what you said made me feel this way, I have to give her all the credit in the world. I can't determine how you feel.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the way my tone of voice sounded, even if I'm like, this is just the tone of my voice. If it sounded like I was being a dick and you felt hurt by it, I can't tell you wrong. That's a feeling, and that's okay. So now I can approach it from like, well, man, like I would never want you to feel that way. I'm sorry I did, but that would never be what I want. And then she's not hearing me say, I didn't do that. She's saying, well, like, I can't tell you that you wouldn't want to make me feel that way. And I actually believe that you don't want me to feel that way, whether you did or not, you know? So I think, like, as you start wording things out, it just is so much, like, it really helps people unravel everything that's going on. And if it just stays inside, you don't actually get to unravel it. You know, it's why those check-ins are so important, is because they ask questions and questions and questions. And then as you answer them, sometimes you answer your own questions and you figure out the solution, and you just need somebody who's on the outside of the jar to say, that is exactly how you should handle it.
Yeah.
And then you have confirmation and you can improve, you know?
That communication is really important. I think it's like why as a team we like study communication so much, and we have, because it is such a skill, not only for us to like for us to be able to communicate with our clients, for them to be able to communicate with us, for us to give and provide you skills on being able to process. Like I talk to my clients, I'm like, sometimes we need to have a temper tantrum. If you're feeling a lot of emotion, you're frustrated and things aren't going your way, go into your car, close it, make sure everyone around you, like, and just scream and just yell, or like get voice note in your phone and be like, this, no, and go off, just go off to whatever you want to say. And it's so funny because so many times they'll tell me, they're like, whew, I feel so much better. Like that same exact thing. Like one of my girls has said, she was like driving to the store and she goes, the whole time I just cursed someone out. I was just telling them how mad I was. She goes, I was the happiest person in the grocery store. Just
that is totally fine.
Yeah.
I was in a men's coaching group years ago, and I can't remember I was telling you about like the automated journal.
Yeah.
It started with a piece of paper years and years ago, but that's literally what it was. We called it doing the work. But you literally fill out this thing and it's like blank. So insert person is blank, fill out whatever you need, and made me feel blank because they blank. Right. And it takes you through this process, and you could be like, so-and-so is a effing, you know, and you just go off, and then it makes you reverse statements. So it's like Cody is a blank. And then like it's so like masterful how it does it. And you realize that almost every anger point you have is hypocritical because you've done it before too. And it removes the judgment towards the person. Judge your neighbor. That's what.
Okay.
Yeah. And so like, it's literally like you're judging them and it's like, it's okay to judge. Get it out there on paper. Now let's flip the script. And it's like, well, I can't judge somebody that I'm doing the same thing at times. I've done that. I've made that mistake. You know, it's really, really powerful. But anyway, going back to the whole point, I think it's the hard part about it all. Maybe I should start doing the judge your neighbor worksheet again. Is not having that outlet. It's actually really helpful just coaching the guys I coach that do like the higher end coaching with me that I get to get on these live calls with, because when they're going through situations, I'm the guy that kind of smiles and goes, I've been there.
You're in that season of business,
Yeah,
are you?
I get it, dude.
Yeah.
It's okay. And then like I can tell them stories of my life, and now I can see those situations as those lessons even more than I did before. Because sometimes you learn lessons from failures, you know, and you're like, I don't know what God's trying to teach me with this, but I know it's something, so I'm just going to keep, you know, gritting and just getting through it, and I know the lesson will come to me.
Yeah.
And sometimes as I'm coaching people now, it clicks with me, and I'm like, this happened years ago, and here's why it shaped me differently, and I didn't even realize it until I'm teaching somebody else.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's understanding. It's like we talked about this, the difference between reflection and rumination. And it's like, I'm going to reflect. Is there a lesson that I learned? No. Then I'm going to move on. And I trust that like the reason that I went through that hardship, God will provide a light with later on. Our pastor was talking about this on Sunday. And
Define rumination real quick.
Like ruminate, like you just keep circling through the same thought and you just like keep going over and over and over again. And so you're like, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why? And it's like, you're trying to figure it out, but you can't make sense of it. It's like, let it go. If you can't pull a lesson out, let it go. And it might come to you later. Our service last week was about prayer. And it's like, God will always answer our prayers. It just might not look like the order you made. And so she said, they talked on the whole thing, but one specific story was she had prayed for her older two boys. She has two older boys and then a decent gap and then a son with Down syndrome. And she said, I always prayed for my older two boys to be compassionate, to be kind, to look into a room and see like who might need help and be so supportive. She's like, I wanted them to be strong men, but also really respect, honor, and love and have that element to them and not be so hard. And then God answered my prayer with Paxton, her youngest boy, who has Down syndrome. And she goes, at the time I was upset because I was like, no, I prayed for a healthy son. And this is not what you gave me. But he was answering that prayer. And she goes, because now I look at my boys who are grown and one of them is married and they're older on in life. And she's like, they are so kind. They are so compassionate. They are so loving and they understand. And the way they play with my younger son is like everything I could have ever wanted. And I think sometimes hearing stories like that where it's like,
good.
you know, like, I don't know it. I don't know what the lesson is. I don't know why this happened. That's okay. I have faith, and this is where whatever it is you choose to believe, like faith is so important and to whatever degree of like, there was a reason, and maybe I'll find it out in 20 years. Maybe I'll figure it out in 10 years.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and what is the thing training you for? If you look at it from that lens, it's like Morgan Freeman in Bruce Almighty.
Oh,
Such a good clip.
Yeah.
He's like, you think if they prayed for a strong family, God would just make them feel all warm and cozy inside?
Yeah.
Or would he give them something to come together and be strong for? And it's like,
that was it.
That's it. You know, it's called, there's a good book called Dangerous Prayers and it talks about that. It's really, really good.
Things like that. Yeah. I can see that unfolding in a couple of areas of life. You want to do one more card?
Yeah.
Okay.
One, maybe two.
Okay, cool. What's something you're still learning to accept about yourself? And also, too, everyone listening, answer these questions for yourself. I think this would be so fun. Yeah. And that's why I love these like card games. And this is why some of our check-ins are even like worded like this. And I think that's why clients get so much out of it when like, what am I still accepting? What do I need to accept about myself to keep making progress?
Yeah. That's a good one. What I'm still learning to accept about myself is I want to say you can't please everybody. I think I've like learned that. Like you can't save everybody kind of thing, you know? I think that sometimes I think of that. Sometimes I don't know if this is something I'm learning about myself. I mean, it is. It's like learning that I've been this kind of person and I need to stop. So it's more of like, I was doing this wrong. More so in my personal life. I live in the gray a lot with people.
Yeah.
And it's because I don't want to let anybody down. So I think sometimes there's this aspect of, one, they won't actually care. You're not going to let them down. It's not a big deal because it's literally a simple situation. Like to the point where it's like when I'll be home, or even like if like my mom or dad's like, hey, let's get together like soon. And I know I can't for the next 3 weeks. Like I know for a fact, but I don't want to tell them they have to wait or that I can't. I'll like live in the grave. Like, oh, I got to check my schedule. Like it's so hard for me to just say like, sorry, I can't. Even though 9 times out of 10 with these simple things, the person's gonna be like, okay, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, cool. Let's just, put it on the calendar, whatever. And what happens is you live in the gray, and then by the time that time comes, I'm busy then too.
Yeah.
And then I feel worse. So I think I'm learning about myself that I really, really don't like disappointing people, but sometimes that can cause me to, I don't want to say be dishonest because I'm not like lying, because if they straight up asked me because they know that about me, I always tell the truth. That's one thing I'm very strong. I literally don't lie. Even if it gets me in trouble, it's like, I'm going to tell it how it is. But I've done that because I think it's just, I need to put less pressure on making everybody happy. That's a
really good one. I think just to me, like the acceptance that you are going to disappoint people, like you are, like, and I think that's where it's even harder. Like you were trying to go, like I'm not gonna, but like sometimes you are, and I think it's something that I've also had to accept, where it's like, hey, I can't make this. Oh, why not? That sucks. I'm like, I just have something else. Yeah. I know it's disappointing to you. I know that it would mean if I was there and it would help you in whatever way, shape, or form, but I can't. Like, especially too, I think this comes up a lot with your significant other, where it's like just accepting, like sometimes in life things are going to happen where maybe I do disappoint him and I don't want to, but it's just like sometimes.
You know what's funny about that though? And it's not just with your significant other, but just in general, I think that a lot of times your disappointment to yourself for disappointing them is actually stronger than their disappointment towards you. Like they're like, oh, I'm bummed out. And then they forget about it because they move on with their life just like you should. And then you're like, you're just stewing on it. And then because I even remember, I think this is common with some entrepreneurs. Like me and Cody Smith are very common in a lot of ways. And there was a time where he was like, he felt bad about something like that. And he was like, dude, he brought it up next time we talked. And he was like, I feel terrible. Like I've had to like skip the last couple times we were going to like get on a call or meet up or whatever. And I was like, bro, I literally haven't even thought about it. And to be honest with you, my first thought was that I respect you because the only reason you skipped is because you're not willing to miss your son's football game in a pivotal point of his life. Yeah. That is so much more important than kicking it with me, getting on a call and bullshit. And like, we're not doing anything super serious. Like I'm grateful you value my friendship. But I remember telling him like, dude, part of the reason why I love you so much is because you're that kind of guy. And so like what he was disappointed himself for was actually what I respected him for. But I didn't, like, I'm a dude, so I didn't say like, bro, that, like, good for you. I respect you for that. I was just like, no worries, bro. Like I just texted him. Yeah. Because I'm not like mushy, so I didn't say that, until we get on the phone. And I was like, bro. Yeah, let me say that. Yeah. I think that's like people will get into that loop where they get like disappointed or annoyed that they're disappointed or like that they are frustrated that they let something get them that mad. And it's like, like emotions are not like just be mad, let it process through, be annoyed at it. But being annoyed at being mad, it only compounds and makes it worse. And so I think part of an acceptance thing, I know that I've worked through and a lot of people do, is like acceptance that negative emotions are going to happen. Acceptance that life is 50-50. Like everything in life is 50-50. The people who you see who've accomplished a lot have paid a price to get there. The people who have the body you want, they paid their 50 too. No one gets out of not accepting the 50-50 of life. The 50-50 of with kids. Like as much as I like, there's that love and that beauty and how much joy like Blakely brings you. There's also moments where it's like, it's frustrating and it's hard and you're just like, why are you doing this? Yeah. And so 100%. I think there's an acceptance of life is 50-50 in every area of life, business included. Yeah. I think part of that for me that I'm learning to accept too is it's the same thing, but in a different way. It's just the more along the lines of like, not everybody's going to agree with you or like you, and that's actually a good thing. I'd rather be somebody that is a leader and like somebody that inspires and leads a certain group of people rather than I'm just a positive guy to everybody. Like I can't make an impact unless I piss some people off ultimately. And I think for a long time I was super worried about that. I'm less worried about it now, but like I think I learned that about myself as I was like, I'm trying way too hard to please everybody, you know? And at the end of the day, everybody I respect, especially in the business world, they're people who do not give a shit. They're going to speak their mind and keep it real and do what they know they need to do for that aligns with them, but also allows them to help the people that need their help the most.
Yeah.
Instead of being like in that gray area with everybody and you're just helping some people, it's like, I would rather just go all in on one direction, help somebody the most, the people that really need my help and want my help the most. I'd rather go all in and be very honest and authentic to who I am and sorry to everybody else, you know?
Yeah. Do you think it's seeing other people and having that model to you is what made the biggest difference? I think a lot of people want to be more honest and be like, yeah, even things like, I believe in God, who I voted for, what my beliefs are. Like, I think people want to speak that, but they're scared and they're nervous because we know behind closed doors, like sometimes people will be like, oh, I feel the same way. Yeah. And so did that shift happen for you because you were like, I see other people who I respect?
I think so.
Okay.
A bit of it, I think part of it was that I had to say, man, I wish I was more outspoken like that enough times to be like, why the fuck aren't I?
Yeah.
You know, not to an ignorant level or like for the intention of pissing people off, but not like trying to avoid it by all costs. Like because ultimately, like I've never given a shit. Like who cares? Yeah. At the end of the day, if somebody's like, I don't believe in God, I'm like, okay, you should. But if you don't, that's your journey. Yeah. I'm not mad. It's like same thing with who I voted for. Okay. I don't care. Like it doesn't matter. Like, are you hurting my family? No. Okay. Do your thing, bro. And like, unfortunately, that's not how other people feel or think. But I realize like all that matters is that's how I believe it should be. And so I need to stay true to that. And then I think the other part of it is when you are inauthentic at all, after a while, it just feels really bad. Like it just doesn't sit well with you, you know? Yeah. And I think I don't think I've ever been like completely inauthentic, but like I've like avoided certain things for long enough to where it was like, okay, this is, you know.
Because then the people around you, do they believe the same as you? Do they like you for, like, there's just so many things then you then have to question and you are unsure of, and you're not sure like, okay, was it this thing that made them mad or tiptoeing around this? And
well, it's like those people, you know, that you're like, I don't really know about that guy. Like he's nice, but I don't know what he's into or what he stands for or anything. Like, I don't want to be that guy. I'd rather be like, Cody's not my cup of tea, or fuck, I love Cody.
I love that. I think that's so important. Like I'll even say this, like when I'm on a call with someone, like I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I don't expect to be, but you'll know if you're like, you'll know if I'm your tea. You'll know if I'm the flavor, because my clients that have been with me, they're like, no, like full send, like all the things, we're here for it.
And most people who end up coaching with us, we don't need to tiptoe around that because we know. Yeah. They wouldn't be on the call. You know what I mean? Like if they weren't.
I think that's a good one. Okay.
Do one more to wrap up.
Okay. Yeah, we can do one more. I think there's a couple left. Let's say.
Have to be a rapid fire one. So pick a good one.
They're just, okay. They're none of these are rapid fire. The card game is not rapid fire. What lesson has life had need to teach you more than once before it finally stuck? So like, what's a lesson? And I guess you could say this in any area of life, but you had to learn multiple times before you're like, I get it. What did God have to keep teaching you in various ways?
Yeah. One for sure is that, and this might sound kind of like morbid, but it's a fact. So listen, everybody's out for themselves at the end of the day. Like, and if you can understand that and respect that and then try to help the people so that, like, if you want people in your life, if you want people to do business with you, if you want people to be in your circle, then you need to make sure that your alignment is set up in a way to that everything you do to better your life is also going to aid in them bettering their life, or else it's not going to work. Because at the end of the day, why would you expect anything else? I would never expect you to put me, TCM, my family, or anything above Dennis and Gabby. There's nothing in a logical mind that would expect that, right? Yeah. You are going to fend for yourself and your family no matter what. Yeah. And that's a core value of mine. So why would I expect you to not have that for you? But if I don't know what you want in life, if I don't know the type of person you are, and I don't have full confidence that what I want aligns with that and what I want for the company helps you fulfill what you want in your life with your family, then I got to walk on eggshells, you know? And I think I've been ignorant to that in the past. And then you feel like backstabbed or something. And this has happened in my personal life. This has happened in business, people in the company, people out of the company, or who are no longer in the company, people outside of the company in the industry that I know. I've had it happen multiple times. And you kind of go like, what? Like, it's that gullible, like, everybody wants the best for everybody. Like, no, they don't. They want the best for themselves. And so do you. So that's okay. Yeah. Like, ultimately, I'm always going to put my family first, you know? Yeah. But I think I've done well enough now to where I can sit back and actually look at everything in my life and go, the business, my circle, like my house, neighbor, like everything is set up in a way that there's a lot of transparency and authenticity of who I am and what I want and what I'm after and what I'm doing. And the people that are within that, they are on the same page, or what they want is within it's congruent enough to where they're going to get exactly what they want for them and theirs. Yeah. While I get what I want for mine and, you know, me and mine. Yeah. And then that's why it works. And so now we can all be happy because we all get what we want individually. But I just think that people are always going to be selfish. Like, that's just the reality. I also think that a part of that kind of blurs it in a good way is having a shared belief system. And I don't just mean like religiously, but it's a good example of it. You know, like if me and my wife, if she's an atheist and I'm a Christian, we're going to have issues. Yeah. Not because I don't love her, but because we don't have the same alignment. We don't have the same value system. So like what she believes is right and wrong, and what she believes, how she needs to show up and act according to the life of a godly woman is going to be completely opposite to me if I don't believe the same thing as her. You know, so I think that if you have alignment with core values, and not just like God, but like just beliefs of like, what is a good person? What is right? What is honesty? What are core values? Like when you have that in place, that's when you can truly trust people, you know? Yeah. And I think it's usually in life, it's either neglected or it's undiscussed. And if it's undiscussed, it is neglected. But if it's not discussed, there's this gray area that is it's a ticking time bomb. Yeah. You know? And I think like the more I've gone through life, the more I've really aligned myself with friends, even family, as hard as that is for people to see. There's going to be people who are blood related to you that maybe it's not the same. You know, whether it's like cousins, distance relevance, or it's literally close. But that's like, I think that's the most important thing. Yeah, that I've learned. That's really good. And I think you can't take avoidance with you to success, and understanding that. Mm-hmm. That's a really good lesson that I think probably everyone needs to, like, it's helpful for people to hear, so that they don't have to like learn it the hard way multiple times. Or be afraid to admit. Yeah. Like, I'm thinking of me first. Yeah. Duh. Yeah. Like, that just makes sense. I think this is where we always try and, like, when we even talk about mindset and behavior, we link it back to like human design. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, dopamine's like this. You're a driven person. Of course you struggle with self-control around food. Yeah. Like, you don't have to be ashamed of that. Just understand it and get help. Like, yeah, you are going to seek out like what's most important for you and your family. Doesn't mean that you're a jerk. It doesn't mean that you don't care about other things, but like, you're going to prioritize what's most important. Or that you don't want what's best for me. Yeah. It just means you want what's best for you first. Yeah. Yeah. Rightfully so. Valid. So yeah. And so I think this one could be definitely like a lot of truths to life, life's truths, that have just like evolved over it. But we'll pull some more cards for next time. Yep. We'll save those. If you enjoyed the podcast, please do me a favor. Follow the IG accounts in the description. Leave us a rating and review, and subscribe if you're not yet, so that you can stay tuned and keep listening to the Choose Hard podcast.